The iconic Nookinbura Aboriginal statue. Who, why, and where? Let's go back to the 1960s in Perth, Western Australia, to the Nookinbura Hotel, a central landmark in the development of the suburb of Innaloo, not far from the CBD. The hotel was built and owned by prominent local businessman George Jenniff in 1962. It established a major social hub on Scarborough Beach Road just as the surrounding suburb was experiencing a massive post-war housing and commercial boom. The hotel sits on the homeland of the Noongar Aboriginal people of the Whadjuk tribe, and Nookinbura is a traditional Whadjuk Noongar word, primarily referring to the area of present-day Herdsman Lake and surrounding wetlands. It is widely understood to translate to sweet water. When developer Jenniff built the hotel, he embraced the area's history by using the name and commissioning the statue. For the time period, Jenniff was one who had a reasonable respect for Aboriginal people and a clear vision in mind when he built the hotel. In 1965, not long after the hotel was built, Jenniff commissioned local artist Eric Drayton to sculpt a statue of an Aboriginal tribal man that would be mounted atop the hotel. Drayton ran a well-known local commercial arts firm called Topliner Displays. Drayton sculpted the piece in his studio, located on the corner of Lake Street and James Street in Northbridge. Once completed, the statue was securely bolted onto the roof structure directly of the Nookinbura Hotel. This gave him massive visibility to anyone driving down Scarborough Beach Road. The statue stood 8 feet tall. It was made entirely of molded fiberglass, which was a highly popular, cutting-edge material for commercial displays in the 1960s. The Aboriginal man was sculpted standing upright in a proud, dynamic lookout pose. One of his most defining features was that he held a traditional hunting spear. The statue was originally painted in realistic, deep earthy skin tones, with dark hair and traditional bodily features matching historical accounts of the local area. The statue drew immediate backlash from conservative council planners who were furious, declaring it a gaudy visual obstruction and an illegal, oversized advertising gimmick that violated suburban aesthetic standards. Jenniff engaged in a long, stubborn standoff with building inspectors, flatly refusing to remove it until the council eventually backed down and let it stay. The statue was never officially named by the tavern's owner, George Jenniff, or its creator, Eric Drayton. Instead, its identity evolved organically through the community. Ultimately, Nookinbura Ned, or simply Big Ned, became the dominant phrase, used by generations of Perth drivers and pubgoers as a quick shorthand to describe the landmark. The statue remained a local icon atop the roof of the hotel for just over 3 decades. During those decades, the statue generated significant community and political controversy. Apart from the already mentioned council planners being furious, some members of the local community, and some within Aboriginal groups, viewed the caricature as highly offensive, outdated, and racially insensitive. Local activists were known to scale the roof of the hotel in a direct act of political protest and paint the entire statue solid white to visually strip it of its caricature status. Also, because of its prominent, unprotected position on the roof, the statue became an irresistible target for late-night university students, pub patrons, and rival pranksters. Pranksters regularly scaled the building to repaint the statue, dressing it up in absurd colors, clothes, or painting it white outside of the political protests. The statue was repeatedly vandalized and stolen off the roof entirely. On multiple occasions, pub staff would arrive in the morning to find the roof empty, sparking frantic searches before it would mysteriously turn up on a local school oval, a front yard in another suburb, or a beach. And obviously, there were those white people of Perth that were simply racist and did not like Aboriginal people, or any acknowledgement of their history or existence, and the statue was an affront to their discrimination and bigotry. However, there were many that embraced the statue and its iconic status, and even local brands, such as Blacksall Surfboards, which actually integrated a custom Nookinbura Hotel statue logo onto the stringers of their surfboards in the early 1970s. The hotel site underwent massive changes over the decades. 1972, the addition of the Pioneer Plinth. Following the demolition of the historic AMP Chambers building in downtown Perth, George Jenniff salvaged a sandstone capstone. He placed it in the hotel car park as a monument dedicated to the local pioneers and the Aboriginal people of the area. 1970s to 1980s, the hotel's golden era of live music. The hotel's legendary backroom, The Overflow, became one of Perth's premier live music venues. It hosted high-profile iconic pub rock bands of the era, including early career gigs from AC/DC. In Excess. and even George Thorogood. Throughout these decades and unto the end of the 90s, the statue continually went through many unwanted variations due to vandalism. So much so that the hotel staff gave up on continued restoration attempts by the 90s. Late 1990s, early 2000s, the hotel refurbishment and rebranding, the tavern went through major structural updates, shifting away from its classic 1960s layout. During these renovations, the statue was removed from the roof, and the Pioneer plinth was relocated to the Mount Flora Regional Museum for safe preservation. Local memory often ties the statue's final days to 1998, which is the exact year the Nookinbura plinth was officially removed from the hotel car park due to security concerns. Many patrons note that the statue vanished around or shortly after this structural shift. And lastly, in 2008, transition to Botanica, new leaseholders took over the property, completely remodeling the traditional hotel footprint into the trendy, large-format Botanica bar and bistro. Since the late 1990s, there have been no confirmed public or private sightings of the physical 8-foot fiberglass statue. So, that's the iconic Nookinbura Aboriginal statue, and its slow vanishing into history and memory.